The upcoming CrossFit training cycle for the 6'4" Army, the Wolverine training cycle. 7 weeks long, March 30 to May 17th, and this is in preparation for those who are doing semi-finals. Obviously, in affiliates, it's going to be that type of pathway that would build your members towards those types of competitions as well. And a little bit of nuances is what to expect around that time of year in typical CrossFit periodization, programming, and the timeline. So let's just break it down real quick of what we're trying to achieve and see across the entire time frame of the cycle. And what we'll do is we'll just break it down by a day-by-day basis, and then we'll summarize it all in one piece at the end. On a Monday, we have some technical snatch work through some primers. So we're looking at positional tweaks and challenges there that would aim to improve a whole part of the movement. And then we're going to use the snatch wave. And the snatch wave, if you have never done waves before, I mean, you can implement snatches 30 different ways if you wanted to, but we've chosen the snatch wave. And what that is you'll have, say, like 3 reps at one weight, and then 2 reps at a heavier load, and then a final rep at a heavier load again. And that would constitute a set. And then you'd recycle back to the top and work your way down. So that's what's going to be in the training cycle. The reason being why we've chosen this is, one, not just for top end strength, and we're trying to get X amount of reps above 70 towards 100% during the duration of this training cycle. 2, just front loading the volume, so we can start with kind of 24 to 30 reps in the first couple of weeks, and then reduce that down as we use the undulating progressive theme until we get to, 1-1-1 in the final weeks. And I guess 3, more of a strength endurance and not just top loading strength. So when you get to those types of competitions, you could often see 5 reps of a snatch at a given load, and that load might be 90-95% of your 1 rep max. And these types of pathways, how to kind of navigate those processes. We're going to use a tempo back squat following that. So it's a Monday has a session 1, and it's all just Olympic weightlifting to begin with. And it's a tempo back squat. We just want to get good time under tension, control our pathways down and then speed, and focus on the contraction on the way up. And following that, there'll be some sort of awkward object, and for a few weeks you'll see some yoke carries, and then that will be implemented with other things as we dive deeper. And you also have to think at the semi-finals, what type of equipment is available to the organizers and the event runners and things like that. So this is where you can broaden the scope of what you are training. Yoke carry is going to be one of those things, and it's not uncommon to see that at semi-finals. Session number 2, this is where your conditioning comes into play. It's going to be some sort of form of monostructural interval work, whether that be straight out row, bike, run, ski erg, or a mixture of both. Expect to see some of those intervals, and then they will obviously progress longer, so then you can have that long modality form covered as well. And there is a workout that follows that will be one of our longer workouts or metcons within the week. We're aiming for around the 18 to 25 minute time domain. And again, that's something that we typically see at semi-finals in terms of the scope of the time. That will also be something that is mixed modal, and mixed modal means mixed modality. You have a combination of Olympic weightlifting, body weight, gymnastics, monostructural, and the likes. Then finally, once you've completed that, there is some extra credit work, which is going to be consistent every single week. Midline, isometric holds, positional awareness and strength in positions, and the top-ups that we need to kind of get those gymnastics reps really firing. On a Tuesday, we have a push jerk, split jerk combination, and we're really looking just to get that development of the load over here. So initially, we're going to start in that 5 rep domain at 70-odd%. So we're really pushing just consistent load and getting some good patterns, and it's obviously going to narrow itself down, less reps and higher loads. And that will not only cover if you were to do something out of the rack, but also then build on the potentiality of your jerk after having stood up the cleans, should you see a 1 rep max clean and jerk. So doing multiple reps there creates that pre-fatigue, and then that second rep is almost like hitting the jerk after standing up a difficult clean. A primer before that, and this primer intention is scattered across the week as well, as an offset loaded push press. So plates loaded on one side, not on the other, and we're just getting some unilateral work in there Training shouldn't always be necessarily in the most perfect environment and bilateral movements at all times. So having awkward loaded objects is still important to learn how to lift and brace and activate the muscles that are supposed to be used when they're asked to be called upon, and not just be taken over because the other side is taking some of that load. So yeah, really big fan of the offset stuff, which we've reintroduced. And then we're going for pressing volume. So obviously yesterday we done the squats, we've done a lot of things that were below parallel. And today we're doing the upper body, pulling and pressing, ski erg work, some bench pressing type work, rope climbs, all the types of things that you'll typically see at that next stage. We'll follow that with a really short effort metcon, and it's going to be multiple rounds, but something like I've got one in front of me, 15, 12, and 9 deadlifts and calorie echo bike. It's not long. You know, we're looking for about 3 to 4 minutes work bouts, and we're going to rest 1 to 1-ish or more than their work bouts for repeatability. The extra credit on a Tuesday will be some awkward implements, kettlebells and things of that nature, some body weight stuff that typically gets overlooked in good general training programs, mountain climbers, kneeling goblet presses, halos and things of the sort. You know, just one, keeping things interesting, keeping it smart, keeping the stimulus there, and I guess a positive frame of mind for your training, but something that still makes sense and it's not just gimmicky. Now, if you want to be successful at that next level, you are going to have to run. You're going to have that long aerobic conditioning sorted. So that one session there, the second session in the afternoon, or maybe in the morning for you, is dedicated to a run. So make sure we're topping that one up as well. A Wednesday, we begin with plyometrics, and that plyometrics is just to help with our stretch reflex, elasticity of the muscle, expression of power, hip extension, things of that nature. Good coordination come with plyometric movements, and that's also a nice little segue and primer into our clean and jerk day. So Monday we had our snatch waves. Today we have the clean and jerk waves. They fit the same theme as the snatches all the way through. The percentages are adjusted slightly to make it make sense for the clean and jerk, and there's some primer work there as well. Now, it's typically good just to double up a squat pattern with your Olympic weightlifting from, you know, the weightlifting programs and things like that. So today, and consistently up through this training cycle, we will see the development of heavy overhead squats. And then finally, you'll jump into a metcon that will kind of be high skill, high complexity, a little bit of strategy, heavy. One thing that a workout that's in front of me right here, you've got a buy-in for 50 calorie row, and then 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 burpee wall climb overs, 48 inches. And then clean and jerks at 110 kilos males and 80 for the ladies. And that just matches the degree of difficulty for those two movements. However, we don't want that load of that barbell to exceed kind of 87 to 90% of our 1 rep max. Session number 2 on a Wednesday, we're gonna look for some skill work that's not for time. So it will be handstand walking toaster bars, some kettlebell work, all mixed modals type of stuff. We'll practice some pirouettes, some handstand ramps. We're going to get those things that you would typically see come up at the next stage, and then also give those ones who wish to be in those spaces eventually some opportunity to be exposed to those types of workouts and developments. And then finally, we will finish off that Wednesday's training with some more monostructural work. So as you can see right now, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we've got a singular monostructural workload, and that we just have to develop that endurance and that aerobic capacity. On a Thursday, as typical to what we've found success with our training program, option number 1, rest day. Option number 2, catch up from the week. Option number 3, if you're someone who needs to move as your rest and recovery, there's some mixed monostructural work. It's always pretty, 20 to 40 minutes long and just really cruisy stuff, conversational pace, or swim options. And if you really want to develop some swimming, this is a great program to get involved with. Friday, we have awesome conditioning. So we've got longer AMRAPs for our first workout of the day. They're not hugely complex. I'll run you through one. So we'll do like a really good warm up, a really good blood flow, movement specificity stuff. And you've got 3 AMRAPs at 8 minutes with 4-minute rest in between. Number 1, 70 cal row buy-in, then AMRAP 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, add whatever, wall walks and a heavy dumbbell snatch. And so you cap that out at 8 minutes. The next one is an AMRAP 8 minutes, as they all are, 60 calorie bike, AMRAP, 6 chest to bars, 4 burpee box jump overs. Just looking for smooth consistency, nothing groundbreaking. The final one in that rotation is a 60 cal ski erg buy-in, and then AMRAP 8 toes to bar and 8 high wall balls. So 11 for target, 10 for target, male, female. Session number 1. So we're hoping there, you can get in and out of the gym. If you're a competitor, in and out of the gym within 60 minutes, good warm up and great conditioning to match that. And then the second session of the day is heavily focused on our Olympic lifting. So we're going to do what we mentioned earlier in the cycle, some offset work. And right here we have some offset back squats, 1 foot on a plate, 1 foot on the floor, load up 30%. We're doing 4 reps back squat, swap your feet over, do 4 reps on the other side. And that just goes to pinpoint some imbalances and learning how to move in a safe and controlled environment in awkward positions whilst under load. Some power work, so we're going hang power snatches, hang power cleans. They will eventually go to the floor. And then we're kind of doing some bottom up front squats. So they're called Anderson squats, where the bar will start on pins and you actually start on the bottom of the squat just to generate that rate of force development. And that will help that next stage of being stuck or pinned in the bottom of his squat and having to stand out under that fatigue. So that's what that looks like. And then the final piece to add to that puzzle will be some lunges, some heavy loaded lunges and some inverted work in addition to that. So back rack lunges, overhead lunges, dumbbell lunges, handstand push-ups, wall facing handstand push-ups, handstand walking, obstacles, blah, blah, blah. That's the combination, a lunge format and a inverted successory component. Which brings us to our final day of the training program, Saturday and Sunday as a rest. If you're someone that needs to shift your days of training, shift them. Whatever makes sense to you, just have them the same in alignment though. And it's an agility. So we're going to start with some agility work. It is likely that this is probably, due to come back up on the scene, and we can see a 30-second sprint effort of maneuvering around obstacles and etc. But it's just something that's nice to have in the tool belt. And it's an awesome way just to prepare after a good warm-up to get that extra blood flow fizzing up for the movements that are about to follow. We have awkward object work after that, farmers, handle carries, again, yokes, sandbags, atlas stones, all of these things just to get some exposure and development under those tools. And then a metcon that is a moderate load of volume in a governed set will rest. We'll hit a secondary kind of metcon, low rep scheme, high intensity, rest, and we're going to alternate back and forth for a total of 6 rounds. And that's just going to be a consistent theme that's plugged and played into that program across the development of the whole cycle. And just to kind of touch on that, the rep schemes and volumes are something that's probably pretty capable of handling and getting through almost unbroken or close to, but enough for us to repeat that. But by the time that we finish the entire piece, the workload volume is really, really stretched out, and we've got some good reps under our belt from the training day. You get an option of skill choices here. So there's some either conditioning, some legless rope climbs, some sandbag work, and it comes down to the user of what you need to do. And then finally, you have an optional second session. And within that optional second session is an option. If you need to run, there's running work, or if you need some extra strength, there's some strength work and some strength kind of intervals. So in summary, this training block is 7 weeks long. It has taken us right through the ramp up of getting anyone that needs to get to semi-finals there. It will finish just shy of semi-finals, so it gives us an opportunity just to kind of address some things. If we get any early releases for any types of workouts, we can filter those into our program and get some touches on those and not be spent from the program. And then we also just get that last little opportunity as a deload taper to be primed, ready, and peaked for these types of competitions. Regardless if you're involved in semi-finals or not, this is just a great time of year to be focusing on this types of program. And if you're someone who needs to kind of reconnect and lock in, here's your chance to do so over the next 7 weeks, and we just lay the foundation from there moving forward.